I'm going to give it a few minutes until we get a few people watching, because normally on Facebook it takes a while. So I'm just going to give it a few seconds and get some people watching, and then we can start our September giveaway. Losing all track of months at the moment. So if any of you got any questions, you want to pop them up, feel more than free to. So yeah, give it a few minutes. Pineapple juice, being a good boy, because Joe will be watching and I would be getting told off. Talking about Joe, this is how bad I am, and I always mention it, and I don't think people really realise just how bad I am. So one thing, watching back from our lives and giveaways, the background has been the wrong way around, hasn't it? It's been like that for a long time. And she come down. We had a bit of a funny one actually on the laptop yesterday. It overheated, and I had a big line down the screen. So anyone watching our live that I was doing with Andy yesterday was trying to move my laptop, thinking, I don't know what's going on here. Basically, in my screen, I've got a straight line down my head. One colour's completely different than the other. So Joe went to the Apple store, and basically you found out that you can press a button and reverse the camera. So now, see, it's actually my name spelled correctly and not backwards. So look at that. We've actually learned something good for today. So 1 minute. So going down, I've got one here from Terry Swan. Afternoon, Paul. Afternoon, Terry. I hope you've had a lovely day and I hope you're having a lovely week. So again, I'll just give it a few more minutes as such. Well, a minute. It's a long time when you're live, say, by yourself. And then we can make a start. So this one is from Paul. Good afternoon, Tech Wizard. Don't, Paul. I was going to say I should have listened more at school, but the reality was when I was at school, I think I was the last year to not have a mobile phone at school. And I was definitely the last out of all of my mates. Everyone knows I don't like change. That's never been any different, to be honest. And I was still the one that had the Nokia phone and didn't understand, like a smartphone. I just used my phone to phone and text people. I didn't really text people, I just phoned them. So even out of all of my mates, I was the slowest, and it's not paying dividends, put it that way. But we're getting there, we're learning, if I can do it, everyone can do it. So going a bit further down, it's from Graham Anderson. Hey, Paul, I finally made one of these. Perfect, Graham. That's the biggest thing, is when I'm watching them back, there's quite a few questions on there that I never actually see. And I think again, it's technology. We use a app, I want to say. This is how bad it is, but basically in my world, we use something called Restream that basically Barry sets up, and that way it can be streamed to YouTube and Facebook. I think those are the only two. But when I look back, I'm finished before, people are commenting and such. And so I thought I'm just going to give it a minute or two before we start. So it seems to be working great. So moving further down, this is from Robert. You're right, Paul. You're right, Robert. I hope you having a lovely week. Hope you've had a lovely day. I'll be seeing you soon at Tunnel. How long's that away now? About 3 weeks before the Drennan Winter Pole Masters. So I'll be seeing you there, Robert. And then this one's from Alan. Afternoon, lovely weather. To be honest, it's been windy here today, but when I was on our live yesterday with Andy, it was absolutely hammering it down there. So I'm not too sure whereabouts in the country you live, Alan. Hopefully it's nice weather there, but it's just been windy today, to be honest. So it's not been too bad, but it's forecast to, start getting worse. So this is from what is known in our family as my manager. This is Julie Andrews, Joe's mum. She is an absolute nutcase. If anyone of you have ever met her, normally see her at White Acres when I was going down there. She's loving the t-shirt. Very, very nice, Julie. Very, very nice. And we will be seeing you both soon. Julie and John, the better half of our family as such. So this one's from Andrew. Hi, Paul. When do you think it's time to change to lighter rigs and start to cut the feed down? I think the biggest thing is the way, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this, but basically all through summertime, using, you know, heavier elastics. And the biggest time I start noticing it, because a lot of my fishing changes, so I would normally say up until June, if you said from winter through till June, it's normally F1 fishing. And then the end of the pole masters, the Daiwa pole masters, that's normally what I would say would be the end of my F1 fishing. And then apart from in July, when I go to the Lindome Festival, obviously they're still fighting like mad then. And then I get a few months where I can do sort of what I want. It used to be White Acres, end of September. When I was going down there, it never really, my elastics and my gear never really changed a lot. You was just catching a bit less. And I would say the baits changed more than the, you know, the actual gear that you were using. But then when I come back from White Acres, that's when it starts changing for me, because it's about November time, I think, of when the teams of four starts at Tunnel. And I always think at Tunnel for the first few matches, again, going on the past, this is for the first few matches leading into the teams of four, the opens that I fish, there's still quite a bit of shallow fishing. The fish start pulling a bit harder. But I would say it's noticeable with your elastics. When your elastics that you've been using, all of a sudden you're hooking a fish and you're having to be a bit gentle when you're shipping back, and you think, oh, they're really not fighting now. And the fish just, you know, they come up to the surface and start waddling about. They're not really pulling. And you think, I need to change my elastic. That's the noticeable time, what I would say, when I start thinking about my rigs, is really, to be honest, is when I change from, again, going on in the past, I've been using a lot of hybrids this year, hybrid elastics. But I would say normally I would use, say, white hydro most of the time. And when I start feeling like that's a bit harsh and I want to change sort of blue, pink, orange hydro, it's around about that time as well, when the fish are not fighting as hard, is you change from a Super LWG to like an F1 pellet hook. And you'd be fishing, you know, last weekend, Super LWG was absolutely fine. And then you're fishing away again at Tunnel. It's a lot of maggot fishing. And I'd be fishing away thinking, it don't feel quite right. And as soon as you change to, say, 014, a 16 Super LWG, or even 012 and an 18 Super LWG, to 012 and a 16 F1 pellet hook, all of a sudden, it's a million miles better. And I would say that change happens with the elastic. So again, I wouldn't use white hydro with a 16 F1 pellet hook, but sort of blue hydro, pink hydro, and lighter. And again, that in your equivalents of your hybrids, that's when you need to start changing. But I'm trying to, it's a difficult one, because I still feel like the fish are still going to be on the feed. Like, you look at the match results of the weekend just gone. I know Monk a special venue, but even at Tunnel, like, Monk fished its absolute brains out. But even at Tunnel, £160 one. So you're still fishing for sort of big weights. I would think normally when the winning weight at Tunnel is round about 100, £120, that's when using sort of a lighter elastic, you're not in so much of a rush, the fish are not pulling as hard. And that's when changing your hook from like a Super LWG to an F1 pellet hook seems to make a massive difference. But if you keep an eye on my match reports, I'll keep you up to date with, you know, all my matches, because I'm not going to White Acres this year. So from now, I will be fishing at Tunnel, getting myself ready for the teams of four. So I'll keep you updated with, you know, my rigs and how it's going, Andrew. But hopefully that helps. So I'm going to go back up just to make sure I haven't missed any. So this one's from Northwest near Partridge. Persisting it down. I love the way you wrote that, Alan. That is absolutely brilliant. Yes. Yeah, it was absolutely hammering it down yesterday on our live. And Andy doing his bit in his conservatory. I got him to come into the house as such, because it was really belting down. Normally it hammers down for sort of 4 or 5 minutes, but it didn't look like it was going to slow up. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But yeah, Alan, if you're fishing at Partridge, we speak about this quite a bit, because it's definitely noticeable whenever so perfect example, I went to Monk and fished the festival. It was absolutely freezing there, freezing for me. And yet I come back home where I live in Reading, and it's like a different world. So I would say partridge is always a couple of 3 weeks ahead of what it is, I believe, more down south and at Tunnel. So yes, I think the biggest thing is when you're changing, all your elastics that you've been using up until now, you're going to go out and you're going to fish a match, and they're just not going to fight. So the second you think, right, I need to lighten my elastics, that's the time that I would start looking at changing your hooks. And I think those are the biggest things, to be honest. But hopefully that helps you out, Alan. So this one's from Richard Williams. Hi, Paul. You're right, Richard. I hope you are well. And then moving further down, Julian King. Afternoon, Julian. Thumbs up. And then this one is from Roger. Afternoon, Paul. You're right, Rog. I've been seeing you've been doing well at Orchard in your silverfish matches. Well done. So this one is from Paul. Pellet or maggot caster at this time of the year at Westwood. So I think, I'm trying to think, is it Tony Winnick's festival you must be going on? I've had a few messages about this, and I don't go to Westwood that much. Very much depends on the weather, but I would say Falcon, it could still be casters. It all depends on the weather. I think the weather's the biggest single thing. If it stays warm and you start getting some warm days, there's so many fish in there, so it can fish really well. The one nice thing, I think, the only actual rule about your bait at the moment is 4 pints of maggots, but you can take whatever else you want, which is nice because you're there on a festival. I know you wouldn't normally do it for an open match because you can't justify the cost, but it's nice to be able to have the bait with you. So if you feel like you're feeding micros and they're a little bit too negative, you get too many fish coming your peg, you can just change to 4 mils. Or likewise, if you're fishing 4 mils and it's not really happening, you can change to micros, which is nice because you haven't got to decide your bait before you actually go in there, which is, a lovely thing to be able to fish. Even if you feel like you might have started off on the wrong foot, you can always change your match. But I would say if the weather's nice, casters could still be very good, especially on hawk. There's some pegs that are, hawk's a funny one because, again, bread can be good. If it's cold, I think on hawk, especially on certain pegs where it's deep, bread can be good. Caster shallow across could be good. On swallow, again, depending on the weather, it could be casters, it could be maggots. It all depends. I think the biggest thing is the weather, Paul, to be honest. But the nice thing there, I would say, is apart from your maggots, there's no limits, which is nice because, I'd say start off on the negative side and then you can always change it. But biggest thing, just keep an eye on the weather. And I think once you fish one day, what's nice then is you can look at the results and, for argument's sake, Swallow's a brilliant lake. It's probably my favourite lake there. It's probably most people's favourite lake there, to be honest. But it's nice when you look at your section and think, right, well, I'm fishing for £120 to win the section. Or you could be fishing for £180 to win your section. If I was fishing for £120, the fish is so big, you could fish, micros and expanders, sure, loose feed, a few live maggots long to fish up and down on it. And then when you come off your short pellet line, just start throwing a few live maggots. That's such a nice way to be able to catch, 180 to £120. Whereas if you're fishing for £180, all of a sudden now I feel like micros and expanders short is too negative. If it's fishing that well, I'd rather be fishing hard pellets, feeding 4 mils with, a 4-6 or even an 8 mil screttings on the hook. That's been really good for me in the past. But then I'd be thinking on my long line, I'd probably want to fish casters more shallow and then bits of worms on the bottom. So once you've had one day, you can look at the results and you sort of know, you've got a better idea then of, with your bait as to what you're actually fishing for. So I'm sorry I can't be too much help, but I don't go there that much. So even when I go there, it's sort of thinking a bit on your feet. But I'd say the biggest thing is the weather and keep an eye on what you're actually fishing for. And I think that will help you out massively, Paul. But hopefully that helps you out, Paul. So this one's from Robert. Hi, Paul. Will you be going back to hydro for the Drenham pole champs at Tunnel Barn Farm? I won't. The biggest thing is the price point, and the most asked question I get asked quite a few questions, but I'd say the most common question I get asked is, Paul, hydro is too expensive for me. What other elastic would you use? And again, we spoke about this before. I don't like change. And once I find something that I like, I'm very, very reluctant. And if I don't use it, I can't give you that answer. I've been using the hybrids that I've been using have been 13, 15, and 17 Duraslip, and they've been lovely. Every single one of them has been brilliant, to be honest. In the lighter grades, what I really struggled with was I felt that when I was pulling the elastic, I'm almost having to hand line the fish. So for the lighter grades, I've been using, it's an 8, it's a red Drennan one, and that's been really nice, to be honest. So this winter, I'll definitely be trying the light hybrids to try and almost find a range that I really like. So again, when I get asked that question, I can honestly hand on heart say I've used it, and it's either stood the test of time, it hasn't stood the test of time, what I think's nice about it, maybe what I don't think's as nice about it. But unless I use it, I'm never going to know that answer, Robert. So truthfully, I will be using hybrids, you know, all the way throughout, because I want to be able to give you that answer. You know, I'm doing this style of fishing, this is my budget, because it is expensive. I mean, I'd probably take it to the extreme in terms of how many top kits I've got, but it does cost a lot of money, and I really appreciate that. So that's the biggest thing why I'm not, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love hydro, and I know I'm very fortunate to be able to use it. But ultimately, for our subscribers, if someone asks me something, I don't want to not be able to give them my best possible answer. And one thing I will say, of having used it, one thing that's definitely noticeable is it's so much lighter in your top kit. So I will be carrying on basically using hybrids this winter. And I think the biggest thing with me as well is confidence. Once I've used something for a bit and you've gained that confidence, you gain that trust with it. And like I say, all the ones I've been using, if you'd have honestly, hand on heart, told me 12 months ago, Paul, these are the elastics you'd be using, I'd laughed at you. I'd have said, no way, I'm never going to change. But having changed, they're very good. They are very, very good. It's just finding, I definitely think, is finding the right manufacturer for the right grade in what you like. It, and everything's personal, isn't it? So hopefully that helps answer your question, Robert. So this from Fuzz: afternoon, Paul, best ground bait from Blake's for skimmers. So it depends on the skimmer fishing you're doing. So when Andy, I've got one here, the Skimmer's Dark. When Andy first designed that, we all went down to Blake's and got given some ultimately to try it before they're selling it. And at the time I was using it at Gold, and I caught really well on it, to be honest. But I definitely think there's almost the venue you go to. So Gold, where I go winter skimmer fishing a lot, I call them skimmers because, and I got a bit of abuse for it, to be honest, but they're bream, really. They're not skimmers, you know, they're not silver, they're big brown dark things that have been in there a long time. And I would say there, you don't catch them on your bait, and it's very clear, the water. And to be honest, when I'm going to Gold skimmer fishing, I'm not fishing a silverfish match. I'm fishing, really, I want to be catching some of them great big units late on. And the mix that I really liked, I'd used Skimmer's Dark, and it was really nice, but I felt, to be honest, I felt like I had so much confidence in the mix that I'm going to show you now for Gold, which is Core 6 Pounder, the mix that Paul Yates made. And because it's got quite a lot of feed particles in it, what I really liked about that mix is what I was saying at Gold, where I went, basically you catch the skimmers and bream, well, the bream, let's call them bream. You never catch them on your bait, no matter how solid it's got to be really solid, to be honest, to be able to catch them on your bait. But you always catch them just past your bait. But it's the carp that I want late on. You know, I'm not fishing a silverfish match. I want to catch the carp, and then the skimmers sort of help boost your weight before the carp are feeding. So what I found was fishing past my bait, the ground bait, I even fed green betaine there, which is one of the strongest mix that Blake's ever sold. and you still catch the bream off the back of it, but it's the carp that mattered. And I found personally that using course expander, I feel like I catch more carp on my bait. And what normally happens is at gold is you're going in past your bait, loose feeding your live maggots, you're catching skimmers, you might catch an odd carp doing that, but then you'll notice like odd pimps coming up on your bait, and that's when the carp are on your bait. But I would say for an older lake and you're fishing for bream, not skimmers, bream, using any of the mixes, to be honest, fine expander, course expander, even pole mix in the winter time are absolutely brilliant. But when you go into a venue where Andy designed this mix for was more for sort of Bradshaws, where you're fishing on your bait, fishing for, say, smaller skimmers, that's when I'd opt for that mix. But to be honest, last year I used it in trial and I caught plenty of fish on it. I even won a few matches using it. But for my fishing, it's more the carp. I'm not just fishing for bream. So I honestly found that the course expander one, I felt like it was better, to be honest, for catching carp, which is obviously skimmer's dart. It's not designed for that, but that's why I opted for that one. So again, depending on the, if you're more fishing a silverfish match and the skimmers are small, I'd opt for skimmer's dark. If you were fishing venues like gold, where you're not just fishing for the skimmers, you want to be catching the carp as well, then I'd opt personally for course expander. I think that's a really, really nice mix, but hopefully that helps. So this is from my Welsh brother, the King of Wales. Hello, buddy. I love Mikey. I can't wait to see him again. Massive well done on your results, Mikey. Absolute superstar. So it's from James Turner. All right, Paul, you got out this weekend anywhere nice? I didn't go out this weekend. We fished the Fish Sale final, and then I went to the Monk Hall Festival. So I had this weekend off. And then this weekend, we're actually filming a live match at Tunnel. Going to do some filming on Saturday, film a live match at Tunnel on the Sunday. And then me and Joe are off to Weymouth for the week, which I cannot wait. A much needed break. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go through our winners, and I can't believe how long I've kept you already. I'm really, really sorry to be interrupting your evening like this. So this month's winners, I've got them here. Before I give them away, you're going to get an email, and it could be from support@matchfocus.co.uk. I think that's the right one, but you definitely get an email from Joe. If you think you've won, or you know someone that's won, if you can tag them in this post, that'd be brilliant. But you definitely get an email, but it might go in your spam/junk folder. So if you have a look at that, reply to Joe, she'll send them off to Blake's, and then they'll be out in the post for you. So before I read them out, massive thanks to Pete, Tim, and Garth, the lads at Blake's, for their continued support. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to have 10 winners this month, and each winner's going to win 5 kilos of ground bait. So just like normal. And again, I'm trying to pick it so you've got a bit of everything depending on the style of fishing you're doing. So the first ground bait you're going to win a kilo of the Skimmer's Dark. Touched on that. That's the mix that Andy developed, and for your skimmer fishing, absolutely spot on. And then moving further down, the next ground bait will be a kilo of the Fine Expander. Really, really nice all-round mix for your F1s. Again, your skimmer fishing. You could always add a bit, of your Fine Expander to your Skimmer's Dark if you wanted to do that. And then moving further down, we've all got our personal favourite mixes, and this is one of mine. This is Coarse Expander. This is what Yanni made. That's Paul Yates's mix. Really, really coarse. Mixes up absolutely beautiful. Again, I love that mix for sort of your more open water venues where you want to be catching some of them great big units. And then moving further down, I think this one needs no introduction. This is our Commercial Masters pole mix, and one of our lads, Chris, that's the only mix he uses. That's Christian's favourite and only mix, apart from maybe the Skimmer's Dart, but he absolutely loves that. And then moving on to my favourite mix, I absolutely love this mix, is our Coarse Carp. Absolutely like gravel. Perfect. So each of our 10 winners are going to win those ground baits. So let's call out our winners. So our first winner is Philip Meek. Congratulations, Philip. Our second winner is Andrew Hartley. Congratulations, Andrew. Our third winner is somebody that I know. He is an absolute Liverpool legend. He always gives me a rake of grief, but he is everyone's big brother. You should know who it is now. It is the one and only Big P, Stephen Parry. Congratulations, Pazar. Look at that. Look, he won the, what was it, the Western Pools Festival. Now he's winning our prizes. Naughty Pazza. Our fourth winner is Neil Careless. Congratulations, Neil. Our fifth winner is Peter Whitby. Congratulations, Peter. Our seventh winner is Stephen Williams. Congratulations, Stephen. Our seventh winner is Graham Ramsdale. Congratulations, Rami. Our eighth winner is Kyle Clapham. Congratulations, Kyle. Our ninth winner is David Martin. And our 10th winner, sorry, congratulations, David. And our 10th winner is Paddy Shaw. Congratulations, Paddy. So that is our September giveaway. Again, if you can tag anyone, give them a bit of grief in this post, that would be much appreciated. And you will get an email. I should know this email address. I'm sure it's support@matchfocus.co.uk. Again, it might not just be in your inbox. If you check your spam junk folder, look at this. Look at our technology. What's the right word? Technological person I am becoming. I'm not, am I? Horrific at it. But yeah, you will get an email. You can reply to Joe. She'll get them posted out for you. So congratulations to all our winners. Unlucky if you didn't win, but fingers crossed for next month. So what we do is we are going to finish off our comments, and then I will love you and leave you and let you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon. I even remember the right day. I'm just really struggling with dates, days and months and that at the moment. It's just like here, there and everywhere. So again, this is another one from our Welsh legend. Afternoon, Paulie boy. All good here, Andrew. I hope you are keeping well. He is going to be the model for our new clothes. I just need to make him about, I was going to say 4 inches longer, but it's more like probably about quite small. So our next one is from Dean Connor. Hello, Paul. Hey, Mikey Williams. So all good here, Dean. I hope you are keeping well. And Mikey is always sound, and he's top boy. So Dean Connor, hey, Andrew, man. So moving further down, this one's from Adam Haynes. Afternoon, Paul. Afternoon, Adam. I hope you are keeping well. And then we just got a couple more. So Lee Parkin, thumbs up. Thumbs up to you, Lee. One from Alec Bishop. All good here, Alec. I hope you are keeping well. Hey, we've got a couple more, and then we are sorted. So it's from Mixdam. Pazza wins when he wants. Big P wins when he wants. And then John's tagged Dave Martin in it. Sam Slockett. Mate, I think I've won this time. Sorry, Sam. Sorry, brother. Absolutely love that kid. Love him to death. From Garth, plenty of ground bait made today. See you soon. Perfect. That is one of the main men at Blake's. So it's all in stock, basically. He's absolute star, Grant is. And then our last one's from Grant Merritt. Hope you're well, bro. All good here. It's not tropical Red Bull. Grant, when we fished the Meadowlands one, that was our deal of the day. Grant brought me a sugar-free tropical one. It was really, really nice. But he is part of, which is going to be known, I think, as the best teams forever. So it's me, Grant, Phil Cannon, and Sam Collett. It's going to be a good team. The hardest thing is going to be deciding who's going to draw. I'm voting Phil. And our last one, I've got to finish off. With Matty. Shocking this, I know, but you can't win everything, Matthew. It's not the way the world works. And I know my name's never come out, and I've been subscribed since day one. But Passer's won, so you never know. It could be your month next month. Fingers crossed. Right, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you, let you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. Thank you ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see a few of you on the bank weekend. Take care. See you soon.